work. And more good news, the President of the United States said on Friday that the private sector is really doing fine.
The private sector is doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're seeing weaknesses in our economy,
yes,
have to do with state and local government.
Okay, all right, okay. So that's why we need to expand it. We're seeing weaknesses in our state and local government, which means it's running so well that we're having problems with it. So what we need to do is take those same policies and expand them. First of all, Mr. President, as you well know, well, no, you don't, but as you have been now told, the private sector is not doing well. The private sector is treading water because you're killing us. You're killing us in the private sector for your public sector. Even David Axelrod couldn't even answer the question. David Axelrod was out this weekend and tried to get an answer out of him on it. Really, does the president really think that the private sector is doing well?
I agree with the president who called the press conference on Friday to say that we need to take a series of very urgent steps to accelerate job creation in this country because we have storm clouds rolling in from Europe. So, Candy, the press conference was called to press for hiring tax credit for small businesses, to press for clearing red tape away so that families who have underwater homes can refinance under today's low interest rates and save thousands of dollars a year. And yes, to push to give state and local governments help to rehire some of the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of teachers, firefighters, and police who've been laid off in this last couple of years. We've created 4.3 million private sector jobs in the last 27 months, but we've lost almost 500,000 public sector jobs, and half of those are teachers.
So bottom line, is the private sector doing fine?
The private sector, we need to accelerate job creation in the private sector. One of the ways that we can do that is putting teachers and firefighters and police back to work because those are good middle-class jobs. That's the public sector. That'll help accelerate, but that'll help accelerate the recovery. The small business tax cut will help the private sector. The refinancing will help the private sector because people have more money in their pockets to spend. There are a series of steps that we can take right now that will help undergird the economy against the forces that are arrayed. You see what's going on.
But if I could
in Europe in particular, we had the first quarter of this year was the best in terms of private sector job creation, was the best in 6 years. We've had a slowdown in the last 3 months, largely because of global events. What the president has said is that we need to take some urgent action, and he's called on Congress to do that. They've sat on their hands thus far. They're more eager to have a debate over. They're more eager to have a debate over an out-of-context clause in his remarks than the substance of what he said.
But I think that we put it in context in the open. You put it in context in the open. I just want to know whether the administration, whether you believe that the private sector is doing fine. Is it doing better?
I believe it's certainly doing better than the public sector.
I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. Look, here's some things that those in Washington on both sides of the aisle need to understand. There's some things that should be pretty darn obvious to at least 6.9 billion of the 7 billion people on this planet. There's always going to be 100 million or so that just don't get it ever. You know, people like David Axelrod, people like the President of the United States, all of his advisors, and this guy last week on CNN. Remember him?
Because this hurts us all. Every single one of you out there in the nation, if you're watching, democracy died tonight.
Yeah, no.
Very emotional. I'm very emotional because we all had a lot invested in this. This was it.
All right, stop. America, he said, America died tonight. No, it didn't. It died because the guy who took a projected $3 billion budget shortfall into a budget surplus in 2 years, it died because he went from broke to actually being able to survive. Governor Walker was reelected and America ceases to exist. Instead, I say that Walker and Wisconsin have just shown America and the rest of the world, listen up, Spain, the way to survive and eventually thrive again. As it turns out, it's not really that complex. It's really not complicated. It's hard, but it's not complicated. But as we have also seen now in Wisconsin, it's worth it. Usually things that are hard end up being worth it. There are 4 things that we need, and it's not another bailout. 4 things that Spain needs, and it's not another bailout that will not work. They have a bank holiday in Italy today. Well, surprise, it's a surprise holiday. Nothing to worry about here. It's a surprise bank holiday. We think the people who work at the banks are just tired. They need a holiday. Really? They don't need a holiday. They don't need a bailout. What they need are 4 things: courage, conviction, commitment, and conservatism. That's it.